It was a bright morning in Arlington when a crowd of tourists gathered near the tomb of the unknown soldier, cameras ready and whispers filling the air. The place carried an atmosphere of deep respect, the rhythmic sound of boots echoing as the tomb guards marched with perfect precision, each step deliberate, every motion filled with honor. Among the visitors stood a young foreign tourist named Ethan, a cheerful man from Australia who was traveling the United States for the first time. He had seen countless videos online of serious American guards and thought it would be funny to get a reaction from one of them. His friends encouraged him, laughing as they recorded on their phones. He smiled mischievously, thinking it was harmless fun. As the guard continued his solemn patrol, rifle on his shoulder, face expressionless, Ethan took a few steps closer, crossing the boundary line that separated visitors from the sacred area. A soft murmur spread through the crowd as the guard's boots stopped suddenly. The air grew heavy, but Ethan still smiled, trying to lighten the mood. He saluted awkwardly, mimicking the guard's movements, and said loudly, "Hey mate, lighten up, it's just a bit of fun." The crowd gasped. The sound of his voice broke the silence that hung over the memorial. The guard turned slowly, eyes sharp, and voice thunderous in the still air. "Step back from the barrier, sir." The sudden authority in the guard's tone froze Ethan where he stood. His heart raced as he felt every eye on him, but his friends still giggled, whispering, "Keep going, do something funny." Ethan raised his hands jokingly, pretending to march like the soldier. The guard's command voice echoed again. "Do not disrespect this post, sir." The seriousness of the situation began to sink in. The laughter from the crowd stopped. People were watching in silence, some shaking their heads, others recording as the guard stood firm, a living symbol of discipline. Ethan lowered his arms, embarrassment washing over him. He had never felt such tension before. The guard did not move or blink, simply stared straight ahead, continuing his duty with unbroken focus. Ethan slowly backed away, realizing how grave his mistake had been. His heart pounded in his chest. The friends who had laughed moments ago now looked nervous, whispering that maybe they should leave. A park official approached his group, asking them to delete the videos and reminding them that the tomb was not a place for jokes. It was a monument to soldiers who had died without their names known, their sacrifices remembered in silence, not laughter. Ethan apologized, his voice trembling. "I am sorry, I didn't mean any harm." The official's expression softened slightly, but his words carried weight. "It is not about harm, it is about respect. These men stand guard 24 hours a day in heat, rain, or snow. They honor those who can no longer speak for themselves. The least we can do is be silent." Ethan nodded, guilt heavy in his chest. He turned back to look at the guard, still marching with perfect rhythm, the rifle gleaming under the sun. The sound of those boots no longer seemed ordinary, but sacred. Every step echoed like a heartbeat for the nation. The crowd had grown silent again, and Ethan felt an unexpected emotion swelling inside him. He thought of his own grandfather, who had fought in World War II, and how he had always spoken about comrades who never made it home. He realized now what this place truly meant. The uniformed guard was not performing for tourists. He was performing a duty that symbolized the eternal respect for the fallen. Ethan's eyes burned with tears as he lowered his head in quiet apology. Later that evening, Ethan sat on a bench near the cemetery, watching the sunset fade behind the marble stones. The laughter from earlier felt distant and foolish. He deleted every video from his phone and messaged his friends, asking them to do the same. Instead, he searched for information about the tomb's history, learning about the unknown soldiers from World War I, World War II, and Korea, whose names lay within guarded every hour of every day. He read stories of guards who never smiled, never flinched, and never broke formation, no matter the weather or crowd noise. He felt a deep admiration forming inside him. When night came, he returned to the tomb one last time. Standing behind the rope this time, he remained silent, watching the guard under the dim lights. His heart felt heavy yet peaceful. The rhythmic sound of the boots filled the still air again, And for the first time, Ethan truly understood respect. It was not about being American or foreign. It was about recognizing sacrifice, honor, and discipline that transcended nationality. He whispered softly into the cold air, "Thank you, whoever you are, for what you did and for what he does." The next morning, Ethan wrote in his travel journal about the lesson he had learned. He described how arrogance had turned into humility, how laughter had turned into respect, and he promised himself that wherever he traveled next, he would always learn before he judged, and always respect before he joked. It was a memory that would never leave him, a single moment that taught him the value of silence and reverence before the sacrifices of others. The tomb guard continued his march, unbroken, unbothered by time or crowd noise, and somewhere among those watching, one man had changed forever.